Board of Commissioners General Session. Today is December 10th, 2024. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Who is it? Who's doing? O'Grady. Led by Commissioner O'Grady.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a reminder, this is a public meeting and is being recorded. For those of you who are calling in, please ensure that your line is muted. I do want to take a personal point of privilege for just 1 second. We just certainly did our Pledge of Allegiance, and it reminds me of the great history of this country, which is rooted in the number 13. A lot of you may or may not know this. You think about the 13 colonies that first existed, and you think about the United States seal that has the majestic bald eagle that in one talon, if you notice, he's got 13 arrows. In the other talon, he's got 13 olive branches, but his face points towards the olive branches. And the message was always to any other country, we come in peace but prepared to do battle. And that's what that 13 is indicative of. But 13 is also a number in the NFL season right now that makes sense. So there are some teams that have won 10 games and lost 3, and that equals 13. And then there are other teams who have won 3 games and lost 10 games, and it also equals 13. And so the number 13, I just want everyone to reflect on for a moment and think about if your team is that 3 plus 10 or 10 plus 3. And that's all I'll say. Thank you for this personal point of privilege. Commissioner Crawley, do you have something that you'd like to? I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Crawley. She's asked for a personal point of privilege today, and so Commissioner Crawley, please.
It's only fitting, since this is our last session for the year, correct, that it would fall on Terrible Towel Tuesday, and that's why we have to represent the team that is that's winning, that has the better record than the team up north, which is the Cleveland Browns. And so I come in peace. Representing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who has the 10-3, or is it 11-3 now? 11? Oh, it's 10-3. I'm sorry, 10-3. Am I bad? Yeah, I'm sorry. Now I can't count. But I just know that we still win, and we are winning. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And somebody had said that we are adults because the game ended on Sunday at 4 o'clock, and to be, for us to always be adults. And I said sometimes, I can be childlike because in the spirit of, the inner child that's in me, had to bring the Terrible Towel to represent the black and gold Pittsburgh Steelers. So.
I have a bit of a cold. Can you hand me that so I can blow my nose?
Yes, you would like to hold black and gold.
Oh, absolutely. We would like hand that down here so I can blow my nose.
Yeah. Commissioner O'Grady, do you have something you'd like to offer? Okay, you don't. Thank you.
It's been a bad season for the Cleveland Browns this year, but, there's no chance you guys should have lost any games to the Browns this year. So that Thursday night in the snow, that was such an embarrassment for the Steelers this year, I know. Look, they both know it. They were so sad that morning.
My mom used to say that the sun shines on I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes, some days. So
good luck the remainder of the season. Good luck the remainder
time.
of the season.
Thank you.
Good luck to you with your four games.
We'll be back in January. See how you guys are doing.
All right. Down to business. Thanks so much for indulging everyone. Is there approval of the minutes for the November 26, 2024 brief budget hearing?
Move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
The minutes have been approved.
Thank you. First up is domestic relations.
Resolution number 974-24. Resolution authorizing a services contract and SaaS agreement with Granicus LLC in the amount of $78,756.63.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Alice Coughlin, Fiscal Manager. This resolution is requesting the approval of a services contract and SaaS agreement with Granicus LLC in order to modernize the court's website and mature its digital presence while optimizing the user experience for litigants, residents, and businesses. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval. If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 974-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 974-24 has been adopted. Resolution 975-24, resolution authorizing a first contract extension with the security firm Whitestone Group Incorporated to provide armed guard services for the Court of Common Pleas, Division of Domestic Relations and Juvenile Branch Reception Center in the amount of $181,197.60.
This resolution is requesting the approval of the first contract extension with Whitestone Group Incorporated to provide armed security services for second and third shift for the reception center located at 399 South Front Street. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 975-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 975-24 has been adopted.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Auditor.
Resolution number 976-24, resolution authorizing a consultant contract with S. Renee Narlock and Associates for executive search services to successfully identify a qualified candidate for the role of Franklin County Director of Appraisal in the amount of $27,950.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. PRKC General Counsel, Deputy Chief of Staff for Auditor Stinziano. This is a resolution, pretty simple resolution for a search firm, Renee Narlock and Associates, who the county has used before to assist us in a nationwide search for a new Director of Appraisal. Barring any questions, we request approval for this resolution.
Yeah, I've got a question. Thanks so much for the resolution. Is this, is the position a specialized position? Is that would be the reason that we hire an executive search firm? Is this typically, is there something unique about this position as opposed to just posting it?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. We have attempted in the not too distant past to fill this position through normal means of posting and not received the candidates that we felt we needed. This is, to answer your question directly, this is a specialized position. Obviously, we need somebody with quite a bit of appraisal knowledge, both commercial and residential. We, at this point, feel like we need to go bigger to find an appropriate candidate rather than kind of do what we've done in the past, which doesn't seem to be yielding the results we need.
Okay, all right, thank you.
If there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 976-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 976-24 has been adopted. Resolution 977-24, resolution authorizing a 6-year contract with Woolpert, Inc. and Pictometry International Corporation for oblique aerial photography utilizing non-general funds in the amount
Yes,
of
thank you.
$1,970,352.
Thank you again. This contract is, again, kind of falling under the appraisal umbrella. Generally, the auditor's office annually updates the aerial photography of the county, which is internally used extensively for appraisal services and map creation, as well as offering the imagery to local county agencies and the public generally for assessment of security and disaster requirements, emergency response preparedness, and countless other benefits. Aerial photography allows the auditor's office to save costs on the office's annual appraisal duties by allowing appraisers to see new construction and changed construction from the office instead of requiring extensive travel to all areas of the county. In short, Pictometry has come out with a new and improved product which offers better aerial picture resolution So we have, this resolution does two things. It terminates the previous 4-year contract with Pictometry and then institutes a new 6-year contract for the improved resolution product. And barring any questions, we would ask for your support.
What's the cost difference between the previous contract and the new contract with the new product?
I do not have that information in front of me, Commissioner. I apologize.
Is it substantially different? Is it?
I don't think it's substantially different. Pictometry is off of the OSIP menu, State of Ohio Department of Administrative Services, Ohio State Imagery Project. So it's a pre-vetted price in order to get on that service. I imagine it was a bit more because it is an improved product, but I do not believe it is substantially more. And it's also a 6-year contract this time as opposed to a 4 previously, so
Sure.
that would impact.
All right, thank you. I would like you to just get me the previous, so you can just send me the previous numbers.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, but I'll support this.
If there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 977-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 977-24 has been adopted.
Thank you. Clerk of Courts?
Resolution 978-24, resolution authorizing an amendment to the services contract and SaaS agreement with Tiberia Development Group Incorporated for professional services related to the upgrade, customization, and access to the eFlex e-filing system, hosting on the Amazon cloud, and support for additional case types for the probate court in the amount of $3,567,806.
You know, before we go any further, I should let people know, that anybody that's testifying on any of these issues, or any of these resolutions going forward, anybody that's thinking about, and I'm not saying that you, Adam, or your colleague are going to do this, but anybody that's thinking about testifying and trying to curry favor with my colleagues and, you know, get up and say that they're Steelers fans and they're having a great season and yada yada. This commissioner in particular will hold that against people going into the holiday season. I'm just making sure that everybody understands. Anyway, go ahead, Adam, go ahead.
Well, as an eternal Browns fan,
Unfortunate.
this is Adam Lukout, Director of Technology, CIO, on behalf of Clerk of Courts Mary Ellen O'Shaughnessy. Joining me today is our Director of Operations, Bill Seeloft, who is the co-chair of the Executive Steering Committee operating under the authority of the E-Governance Board.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The resolution before you amends the Tiberia SaaS agreement and services contract that was entered into in 2021. Tiberia, who is our e-filing vendor, has been working to upgrade our version of eFlex to the most recent version, version 10. Additionally, this amendment enables the county to move eFlex to being hosted in AWS, allows e-filing in all case types for probate court, and then adds additional support hours for the eFlex system. The agreements are not to exceed $3.567 million. Pending any questions, I would recommend approval of the resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 978-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 978-24 has been adopted. Resolution 979-24, resolution authorizing an agreement with Mapsys Incorporated to provide application support services for the Franklin County Clerk of Courts and Probate Court in the amount of $500,000.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This resolution is for the annual support agreement with Mapsys to support FCJS and the probate court's case management system. Within the scope of work of this agreement is after-hours support for our evening batch jobs, which include print runs and reporting. This contract is not to exceed $500,000. Pending any questions, I recommend approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 979-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 979-24 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Same to you, Adam.
Next corner.
Resolution 980-24, resolution authorizing the county administrator and the Franklin County Coroner to sign an agreement with the Ohio University Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine for non-hospital teaching.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, County Administration. Lauren Gressel, Quality Assurance and Education Coordinator for the Office of the Coroner, Dr. Overmeyer. We have one resolution for your consideration today. This resolution authorizes the County Administrator and Coroner to sign an agreement with the Ohio University Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine, or HCOM for short. This is a no-cost agreement that allows medical students to conduct a forensic rotation through our office to learn from our pathologists and other professionals about medical legal death investigations. Dr. Overmeyer is committed to increasing educational opportunities in our community, and this agreement serves as one educational outreach strategy to get more students interested in the field of forensic science. Since August of this year, we have had 8 med students from HCOM complete their forensic rotations through our office, and we're excited to continue this partnership. And pending any questions, we respectfully ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 98024.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 98024 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff.
Resolution 98124, resolution authorizing a 3-year contract with Keefe Commissary Network LLC for inmate commissary and trust account services.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our first resolution approves a contract with Keefe Commissary Network to supply commissary. Keefe will supply and fill all orders for inmate commissary, and our office will distribute the orders throughout the corrections facilities. The contract commission structure will be 52% for self-service kiosks, 42% for vending machines, or a minimum annual guaranteed revenue of $850,000 for the Sheriff's Office. This contract will be in place for 3 years with 2 optional 1-year extension periods. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 98124.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 98124 has been adopted. Resolution 98224, resolution authorizing a 5-year contract with U.S. Foods Incorporated for food products and distribution for the Franklin County Correctional Facilities in the amount of $15 million.
Commissioners, our next resolution approves a contract with U.S. Foods to supply food to our corrections facility for inmate meal preparation. This contract will be in place for 5 years with 1 optional 5-year extension period. The contract will not exceed $15 million. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 98224.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 98224 has been adopted. Resolution 98324, resolution authorizing an agreement with the American Red Cross for authorization to teach certified training courses to Franklin County Sheriff's Office employees in the amount of $50,000.
Commissioners, our final resolution approves an agreement with American Red Cross to authorize Franklin County Sheriff's Office training deputies to teach certified courses in adult and pediatric first aid, CPR, and AED usage. The agreement will run for 3 years from today. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 98324.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 98324 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Data Center.
Resolution 98424, resolution authorizing a contract agreement with Navient Incorporated for consulting services in the amount of $16,397.76.
Good morning, Julie Lust with the Data Center, and with me today is Data Center CIO Adam Frumkin. One of the Franklin County Auditor's Office functions is to assess property values that determine property taxes and help seniors, veterans, and disabled citizens obtain tax relief. Technology is a key component in the efficient delivery of these services. The Auditor's Office takes advantage of Franklin County's centralized services provided by the Data Center, including the Enterprise On-Base Content Management System. This contract with Navient provides consulting services to review the current document management solution, validate business processes, and evaluate whether workflow improvements or software enhancements would benefit the current solution. The Automatic Data Processing Board has approved this project. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 98424.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 984-24 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Nice tie. Festive.
Community partnerships.
Resolution 985-24, resolution authorizing a COVID-19 recovery grant with the Columbus Fashion Alliance for the support of the Fashion Innovation Center in the amount of $1 million.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and County Administration. Brittany Hilliard, Community Partnership Coordinator. This resolution authorizes a COVID-19 recovery grant agreement with the Columbus Fashion Alliance in the amount of $1 million to support the Fashion Innovation Center. The Fashion Innovation Center will serve as the epicenter for reimagining the Columbus fashion industry and will house a fashion history exhibit, co-working and event spaces, design and production labs, and small batch production capabilities. Yogi Terrell, Executive Director of Columbus Fashion Alliance, is in attendance if you have any questions. If there are no comments or questions, we respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
Yeah, I'd like, Mr. Terrell, is he online?
He is right here.
Oh, I didn't see him. Okay, yeah, come on up. Yeah. I just don't want to, again, I always feel like the need to, especially since we have briefing, to make sure the public really kind of understands what this means. This is economic development. It's how we looked at it. We look at it, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but there are two components of this. One is the artistic element that we are feeding into, but embedded in that are economic implications, whether it is job creation, small business development, so forth and so on and so on. I'd like you to talk somewhat about that. And then two, if you could talk about how these funds are leveraged as part of a broader effort to buy the facility to put that together. So this is not, we see this, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but it's an investment. But if you could maybe just kind of show, illustrate how this is an investment, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on it. Just to give you guys an example of what this is going to unlock, we already currently have 15 letters of intent from fashion-based businesses for the Fashion Innovation Center, but 2 of those include a small batch manufacturing facility, so that's going to create about 100 jobs from people that are learning how to be seamstresses. We're partnering with a company called Isaac, so they're leasing out our production space, so they'll run that lab. You also have Hocking College teaching their fashion design and retail merchandising programming out of this space, including Columbus City Schools teaching their CTE programs out of this space. So when it comes to building this ecosystem, it's about not only creating a space for the industry to come together and where that innovation happens, but also attracting those other industry partners who we've never centralized before. So this is the first time that we're able to centralize this industry in order to create that innovation, but like you said, more importantly, workforce development. So it's not just about the creative side, it's actually about teaching skills that will give people an opportunity to have those jobs. So we're going to be launching jobs. So to touch on your other point, this is that domino that we needed to fall that will open up so many more doors. So with these funds, we actually have a loan from Illinois Finance Fund for $2.5 million, and we also have funds from the city, and we also have funds from HUD. But this would allow us to close that deal. So now we can go in there, and the loan is actually going to give us, it's called carried interest. So the whole first year of occupying that building, we won't have any payments. So it allows us to get settled, be in a building, start to operate, start to gather that rent. And this also is about sustainability, like you said. So workforce development, placemaking, economic-based placemaking, and sustainability for this initiative. So thank you guys for helping us launch the first solely Fashion Innovation Center in Columbus. This is a huge opportunity for Franklin County, huge opportunity for workforce development. So I'm so grateful for everybody here. Thank you.
And I just add too that I love the one-time investment approach from our standpoint, that we can put our money, invest our money, and watch it work and see the results from that. And so thank you for the proposal, and I'm really excited about what this potential will look like when it's all said and done. So
I can't wait for you guys to be there.
Commissioner Crawley has.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Commissioner Boyce, for having him come up and speak more to the economic development piece. That's what got me when we talked about it, when you brought this idea, was the manufacturing, was the job creation, understanding what happened during COVID, especially in the different service industries and how people were impacted. And so now to see this one-time investment be that domino, but that you have already done the groundwork trying to get other partners in place, get other funding in place, and the fact that you mentioned, you talked about sustainability, which we always talk about here, and what that plan is, and we've talked about that, and I know you have a solid plan in place, which makes this easy. And I know you were just here a couple weeks ago with some students who I'm sure will continue to benefit, and now it will be more students or more creative talent that will be able to come into this space and have their dreams realized and have a job and see themselves in a space where maybe outside of this opportunity they probably didn't see a pathway. So thank you.
Oh, and to add to that, Commissioner Carley, thank you for that. The building that we're purchasing the building from Columbus College of Art and Design. And so we're literally building this asset right next to Columbus State, right next to CCAD. So we're creating more pathways for our community to post-secondary education as well, workforce development with Columbus State as well. So the ripple effect this is going to have is going to go well beyond just fashion. So thank you for that. Again, thank you. Thank you. Everyone here, Administrator Wilson, Deputy Administrator Long, but thank you everybody for always supporting us and betting on us and believing on us, in us.
Yogi, been here a long time, made a lot of economic development investments. And this is, as far as the economic development investments that Franklin County makes, this is relatively small. This is $1 million. But, with $1 million, you are creating businesses. You are training creating jobs, training employees, investing in the community, and buying a building. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. So don't sell yourself short here. This is big, and from our perspective, this is a great investment. This is, and we expect that over the course of time, there's going to be a great return on investment here. So excited for this, excited for you, excited for the businesses and the young folks that you're investing in here. So we certainly want to be able to have a front row seat to watch what you do.
Oh yeah, you'll be in the building for sure.
So this is really exciting stuff for the three of us. So
thank you,
and for county administration and everybody else. So this is good stuff, and we're going to be watching what you do, and as we have been, and continue to watch what you do. So exciting stuff.
Thank you.
Commissioner O'Grady made me think of one other thought, and it's the brain drain. That oftentimes we don't have the educational, artistic pathway. Sometimes it can pull people other places. My son goes to school in Los Angeles, and because of what he was looking for in a program was there, and so this is one of those resources that can keep some folks here that are really talented and add value in the bigger scheme of things to our artistic community, so or the creative economy. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Is there a motion?
If there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 985-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 985-24 has been adopted. Resolution 986-24, resolution authorizing a COVID-19 recovery grant with service, relief for hospitality workers for the support of the Innovation Kitchen in the amount of $250,000.
Hello again. Our next resolution authorizes a COVID-19 recovery grant agreement with Service Relief for Hospitality Workers in the amount of $250,000 to support the Service Innovation Kitchen. The Innovation Kitchen will serve individuals from marginalized groups as an incubator for success by providing a framework for understanding food costs, labor costs, menu development, business plans, and permits. If there are no comments or questions, we respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
If you don't mind, I'd like to comment. I was looking at Chris when I said that.
And
Chris,
we do have Letha Pugh and Matthew Higgins on the line as well.
Oh, well, I don't know if they have anything they want to say. Letha and Matthew are fantastic. We've gotten to know them over the time, but the work that they do, the work that they've been doing on the 16th floor and the work that they do with service has been fantastic, and this is equally as exciting for me as the work that Yogi does in the community. But Letha and Matthew and Sengi, that they're doing great work, have been doing great work with us, and they'll continue to do great work with this grant as well. And the work that they're doing in the service industry in Columbus and Franklin County has been tremendous, and so this is a very worthwhile investment, and so I'm excited about it as well.
And Commissioners, if I may, Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator, two things. First, this is completely separate from the work that they do with Cafe Overlook,
Yeah.
and so I just wanted to make that distinction for the record. But secondly, from the investment that the Commissioners are making, the area where Service is going to have the Innovation Kitchen is right next to the space that Mr. Terrell is building the Fashion Alliance. And so it's a really innovative, creative, economic driver of that community that the Commissioners, the three of you, are a part of. And so just wanted to highlight that for the three of you.
Please.
Thank you, Commissioner Boyce. I want to just underscore my appreciation, or this board's appreciation for Service and for all that they do. When I think about Mecklenburg County, and been there a couple of times, talking about how they've been able to grow and what they've done to focus on community, or whether it's sports teams or different things. One thing that continued to come up was they continue to highlight their culinary industry and chefs and those in that market. And so from a workforce perspective, from just an asset, this Innovation Kitchen and just all that Service is doing in the nonprofit space to put people to work, but also have them realize their dreams in the culinary space is just, I just wanted to just underscore that and just share my appreciation. This is something that will be a driver to attract people to come to Columbus. We are a test market, and I don't know that people know that we are a test market for food, but what Service is doing just continues to heighten that and move the ball forward in innovation. And so if they're listening, and thank you, and happy to support this resolution.
If there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 98624.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 98624 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Economic Development Planning.
Resolution 98724, second amendment to the COVID-19 recovery grant to Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District to develop an urban agriculture critical infrastructure grant in support of the local food system and in alignment with the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan in the amount of $500,000.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, County Administration. Walter Dillard, Assistant Director of Economic Development and Planning. Our first resolution will authorize a second amendment to the COVID-19 Recovery Grant Agreement with Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District, adopted by Resolution 0857-23. This amendment, one, provides $333,333 in additional funding to continue the successful Franklin County Urban Agricultural Critical Infrastructure Grant, not to exceed the total contract amount of $500,000, and two, extends the agreement end date until December 31st, 2025. This initiative strengthens the local food supply chain, increases food crop production, processing, and distribution via sale or donation by local urban farms, accelerates the ability of local growers to scale up their operations, and ensures support for socially disadvantaged farmers. In the first year of the grant, Franklin Soil and Water received over 40 applications, of which 13 applicants were awarded funding, demonstrating the immense need for these resources in the community. This funding will ensure support for urban growers to scale up their operations and increase the supply of local food in our community. This resolution aligns with Goal 10 of the Poverty Blueprint Plan and advances implementation of the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan. Joining us today from Franklin Soil and Water Conservation District, we have Kyle Wilson, who is the Assistant Director, and Annabelle Spranger, who's an Urban Conservation Specialist, to share any more insight that they may have of the program.
Thank you. Commissioners, as you know, in large part to your support and the support we get from our community here and the Ohio Department of Agriculture, Franklin Soil and Water is very familiar with administrating grants that get action on the ground. Whether it be our Community Backyards program, which gets native trees and shrubs into residents' hands, the TAP program, which gets trees into community groups, or our Conservation Mini Grant, that sees innovative practices go on the ground throughout the county. Our programming is pretty robust and pretty well received, and we get a lot of great feedback from residents throughout the county and groups that we help along the way. This grant's been different. Some of the feedback we get specifically to this urban agriculture infrastructure grant has kind of blown our minds within the district. I want to share with you a few of those comments and quotes that we got from the producers. A new market cart created a professional market display and generated customer attention. Our sales increased 16%. Behind the scenes, they created a measurable efficiency in our operations. They eliminated 2 to 3 hours of staging seedlings for market, loading, transporting, and unloading, an additional hour of market setup, foraged and sown. The excitement on the faces of the community members as they helped build the raised beds and began planning what to plant next brought immense joy, Garden District Corporation. And finally one, this funding is really changing our lives, Freshtown Farm. This program, you heard the stats, that we had way more applicants than we had ability to award. We anticipate that doing even with the increased funding this year and getting a lot more food production happening here in our community, which is great. I'd be remiss to talk about all this good work that's getting done without recognizing a few of the people who are doing this work. Annabelle Spranger with our office, she's the one that's heading up this program, receiving the applications and administering the funding support, as well as providing that technical assistance on the ground. Brian Esteberg is here with Franklin County Economic Development and Planning, along with his counterpoint at Columbus. They were paramount in getting the mechanism set in place so that we can distribute this application and receive great projects. And then probably most important, some of the recipients. Franklinton Farms is here today, and they've been doing good work in our community for almost 15 years now. And being able to support these groups and get them this funding is critical right now to get new producers up and running and keep those long-established ones in our community able to do the quality work that they do. So with no questions, we do recommend and appreciate passing of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 987-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 987-24 has been adopted. Resolution 988-24, resolution to certify the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority Annual Public Housing Authority Plan for fiscal year 2025 is consistent with the county's 5-year consolidated plan submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Franklin County, Ohio, as an entitlement urban county, is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to complete and adopt a 5-year consolidated plan that identifies the county's goals, priorities, and community development needs to be used in constructing the annual plans. Public housing authorities are required to submit to HUD a Public Housing Authority Plan in accordance with 24 CFR 903.15. A public housing authority must ensure its annual PHA plan is consistent with any applicable consolidated plan for the jurisdiction in which the PHA is located. This federal regulation code requires CMHA to submit to HUD a certification form attesting that their annual PHA plan for fiscal year 2025 is consistent with Franklin County's consolidated plan. CMHA's annual PHA plan for fiscal year 2025 is consistent with the county's consolidated plan because it includes activities which will increase affordable housing in Franklin County, provide housing for special needs populations, and increase access to housing and emergency shelter. This resolution will authorize the Franklin County Administrator to execute upon approval the form by the Franklin County Prosecuting Attorney for HUD Form HUD 50077SL to allow compliance with federal law and to certify that CMHA's annual PHA plan for fiscal year 2025 is consistent with the county's consolidated plan. Pending any questions, we respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 988-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 988-24 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Fleet management.
Resolution 989-24, Resolution authorizing disposition of personal property, including motor vehicles and equipment that are no longer needed for public use, are obsolete, or are unfit for the use was acquired, and authorizing the Director of Fleet Management to dispose of said items in accordance with the disposal of county-owned personal property policy.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Charlotte Ashcraft, Director of Fleet Management. This resolution is requesting authorization to dispose of 30 retired vehicles and 17 pieces of equipment. Fleet Management is asking permission to dispose of these items in accordance with the policy of disposal of county-owned personal property, and that policy was approved by you on April 2nd, 2024, resolution number 0276-24. Fleet has been contacted by other political subdivisions in the state of Ohio with interest in receiving donations of used vehicles to help with their small aging fleets. We began donating vehicles in 2009, and we've helped many agencies keep themselves on the road. Many of the items listed will be posted available through online auction with govdeals.com. Those that are wrecked or ones we are unable to donate or sell by auction will be disposed of through salvage. Pending any questions, I respectfully request passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 989-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 989-24 has been adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jobs and Family Services.
Resolution 990-24, resolution approving a subaward agreement with Action for Children for quality early learning support and child care training services in the amount of $247,500.
Good afternoon, County Commissioners. Carmen Barnes, Assistant Director, Job and Family Services. We partner with Action for Children to offer referrals to publicly funded child care centers, as well as to provide child care provider training, including child abuse recognition and prevention, communicable disease recognition and prevention, and pediatric CPR for our family home care providers. Action for Children helps family child care providers also to acquire and increase their quality ratings under the new 3-tier system. During our last award period, Action for Children referred 497 families to publicly funded child care centers and assisted over 106 child care educators in completing the training required to become licensed family child care providers. Under this agreement, the agency will serve an estimated 420 eligible families, linking parents and children with high-quality early education programs available in Franklin County. This resolution aligns with the Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 13, and pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 990-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 990-24 has been adopted. Resolution 991-24, resolution approving a subaward agreement with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Ohio Incorporated for youth mentoring services in the amount of $113,000.
The mentors of Big Brothers Big Sisters meet in person with youth at least twice a month. The program provides a structured activity to assist youth in achieving academic success, character development, hope, and goal setting. This year, Big Brothers and Big Sisters will work with youth who are struggling academically and in need of guidance and a positive role model. Adult mentors will be recruited, screened, and paired with youth mentees, and Big Brothers and Big Sisters plans to serve no less than 55 students during this award period. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 991-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 991-24 has been adopted. Resolution 992-24, resolution approving a subaward agreement with the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio on behalf of the Franklin County Family and Children First Council for trauma-informed care training in the amount of $300,000.
Building Better Lives is a program designed and implemented by the Franklin County Family and Children First Council to provide trauma-informed care and youth resiliency training, coaching, and ongoing professional development for school educators as well as nonprofit organizations. The Educational Service Center of Central Ohio serves as FCFC's fiscal agent. The overall goal of the Building Better Lives is for educators to develop and implement innovative approaches to help at-risk youth increase their executive functioning skills needed to succeed academically. Under this agreement, FCFC will continue the Building Better Lives initiative in the Reynoldsburg City School District, working with staff from Livingston High School, Ragnar Road Junior High, and Baldwin Road Junior High. FCFC will also continue to offer the Building Better Lives training to Franklin County nonprofit organizations. Overall, the goal for the upcoming year is to reach 750 training participants between Reynoldsburg and nonprofits. And pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 991-24.
Commissioner 992.
992-24, sorry.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 992-24 has been adopted. Resolution 993-24, resolution approving a subaward agreement with I Know I Can for Youth Career Development Services in Franklin County in the amount of $500,000.
I Know I Can provides college access advising services designed to increase college enrollment and degree or certificate attainment for low-income and underrepresented students through the completion of a nationally recognized measures that promote college enrollment and completion. With this award, I Know I Can will continue to offer college readiness services for high school students within Southwestern City School Districts and Whitehall City Schools. I Know I Can will focus on curriculum and lessons that provide career exposure, workplace and professional skills, and networking and social capital, enhancing their career fluency. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 993-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 993-24 has been adopted. Resolution 994-24, resolution approving a subaward agreement with Partners Achieving Community Transformation for a workforce training program in the amount of $152,500.
We work with Partners Achieving Community Transformation, or PACT, and the Ohio State University College of Nursing to offer the Community Health Worker Training Program. The Health Worker Training Program recruits Franklin County residents with a high school diploma or GED to help prepare them for employment and/or additional training in the healthcare industry. This 14-week training program includes knowledge of basic personal health care needs, confidentiality, personal safety, and social determinants of health. Successful participants who complete the required classroom instruction and clinical hours are eligible to earn the Community Health Worker certification from the Ohio Board of Nursing. During the previous award period, 54 of the students completed the training program, and 60% of the graduates were hired as community health workers, earning an average hourly wage of $21 per hour. Under this new agreement, OSU School of Nursing plans to enroll an additional 54 students in the CHW training program. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 994-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Abstain.
Resolution 994-24 is adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention. Resolution 995-24, resolution approving a subaward agreement with Liberians in Columbus Incorporated for a Community Wellness Navigator Program in the amount of $118,963,000.33.
Liberians in Columbus, Inc. is a community-based organization that exists to support the more than 6,000 Liberians who reside in Franklin County. The primary goal of the Community Wellness Navigator program is to link members of the Liberian community as well as residents of the far east side of Columbus to needed services provided by multiple health and human service agencies across the county. Through an assessment and referral process, wellness navigators direct and connect low-income residents to services such as housing assistance, child care services, career services, financial literacy, trauma support, and behavioral health programs. During the prior award period, the Navigator program provided support and navigation services for 140 TANF-eligible residents. Through this award, LICI plans to provide case management services for no less than 95 residents. This resolution fulfills the short-term action plan of the Rise Together Blueprint Goal Number 9, and pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 995-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 995-24 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. JPP.
Resolution 996-24, resolution authorizing 3 professional service contract agreements for community healthcare workers and case management services for residents served via Safer Station in the amount of $109,920.
Good morning, Commissioners and Administration. Melissa Pearson, Chief Operating Officer with the Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Commissioner, the Safer Stations program supports low barrier access to treatment services, referral and linkage for individuals visiting the center located on the west side of Columbus. The 3 professional services contracts before you are renewals of existing contracts with Alicia Payne, Sherry Ruckman, and Faith Sharp, who are each certified as community health workers and will continue their role supporting the Safer Stations program in 2025. This resolution supports Goal 2 of the Rise Together Blueprint, and pending any questions, we'd ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 996-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 996-24 has been adopted. Resolution 997-24, resolution authorizing 6 professional service contract agreements for peer support and case management services for residents served via Safer Station in the amount of $224,536.
Commissioners, similar to the previous resolution, this resolution requests your approval of 6 renewal contracts with our certified peer support staff supporting the Safer Stations program to support operations in calendar year 2025. Pending any questions, we'd also ask for your approval of the peer support contract renewals.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 997-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 997-24 has been adopted. Resolution 998-24, resolution authorizing the Franklin County Administrator to approve a sub-grant award and contract for services with Franklin County Sheriff's Office for treatment linkage for individuals released from the Franklin County Correction Centers related to the FY 2023 Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Grant in the amount of $378,800.
Commissioners, the Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Use Funding Award to the Office of Justice Policy and Programs is intended to support increased treatment access and continuity of care in lieu of arrest and incarceration for individuals at risk of an opioid use or other substance use disorder. The award to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office will support enhanced collaboration with the HOPE Task Force members in support of these individuals leaving incarceration linked to treatment, specifically including medication-assisted treatment and other supportive services. Over the course of the 18-month award period, it is anticipated the Office of Justice Policy and Programs and the Sheriff's Office will provide outreach and support to 200 individuals released from the correctional center on medication-assisted treatment. This resolution supports Goal 6 of the Rise Together Blueprint, and pending any questions, we'd respectfully request your approval of this sub-grant award to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 998-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 998-24 has been adopted. Resolution 999-24, resolution authorizing 12 professional service contract agreements for peer support and case management services for justice-involved residents served through various Franklin County justice programs in the amount of $551,304.
And Commissioners, this is the third of our third resolutions to support renewal contracts with 12 of our peer support specialists supporting the Rapid Resource Centers, our reentry programs, and the medication-assisted treatment program throughout 2025. Again, this resolution supports Goal 2 of the Rise Together Blueprint. And pending any questions you might have, we respectfully request your approval of the 12 renewal contracts for peer support services.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 999-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 999-24 has been adopted. Resolution 1024, resolution authorizing extension and modification to the sub-grant award agreement with UNIC Foundation through COVID-19 Recovery Grant. in the amount of $26,336.98.
Commissioners, the UNIC Foundation was awarded a COVID-19 recovery grant funds to support New Americans, immigrant, and refugee communities in Franklin County with a focus on reducing incarceration and recidivism through supportive housing, substance use treatment, and case management services. UNIC has exceeded their performance objectives and continues to be a critical reentry partner. For this reason, we are requesting a modification and extension of their original contract to increase the award by $26,336.98 and extend their performance period through June 30th, 2025. This resolution aligns with Goal 9 of the Rise Together Blueprint, and pending any questions, we would ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 1024.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 1024 has been adopted.
Thanks so much and happy holidays.
Same to you.
Thank you. Same to you. If it pleases the board, I'd like to take a resolution out of order. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry I didn't let you know this beforehand, but I'd like to give Treasurer Brooks Sullivan an opportunity to present her resolution. I know they've got to go. They've been here a while and want to be respectful of her time as elected officials. So if we could go to Resolution 1008-24, and I would ask Treasurer Brooks Sullivan to go ahead and make her way to the podium with your folks. If there are no objections to that, my colleagues.
All right. I think that's great.
Okay, great.
Resolution number 1008-24, resolution authorizing the formation of a nonprofit corporation for purposes of providing financial assistance and supportive services to qualified Franklin County homeowners.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and everyone. It is a pleasure to present before you today. We are here today to discuss a project we've been working on for well over a year, the inception of the STAR program, Sustain, Teach, Advocate for, and Retain Home Ownership of Individuals, Households here in Franklin County, alongside with the creation of 2 staff positions, Director of Retention Services, and also an administrator over all of our data and our applications. We wanted to make sure this program was itself sustainable and that it was done within every opportunity within law to be correct and to be of service to the residents as best possible within the guidelines and the priorities of our county administration, and our commissioners, and we believe we have completed that process. And we're here today to present and to obtain your approval for the resolution to proceed as a nonprofit. With me today are members of the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office, as well as Frost, Brown, and Todd, and I will refer to their comments.
Thank you, Treasurer. Mary Johnson from the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office.
Please feel free to adjust the podium if you want. There's a little button. There's a
On the
button on
right-hand
the
side.
right-hand side.
Oh, over
Yeah.
here. Now I feel taller. Thank you.
That's as skilled as I get.
That's why Emmett's here. Thank you. We began reviewing the program that Treasurer Sullivan had created that addresses the tax delinquencies. I will say I've been in the prosecutor's office working in the tax foreclosure area for years, and there are a lot of times homeowners find themselves facing a tax foreclosure, forced there not within any of their own control. It's just situations happen. The treasurer created this program. It helps to address those tax delinquencies as well as the causes behind them by putting people in touch with different social programs. When we reviewed it, there were issues we had as far as the treasurer being able to attain her goals through the STAR program and the statutory compliance. It was determined that an independent nonprofit would have to be created that would house the STAR program, Inc. We brought in special counsel who's been excellent in assisting us in creating the nonprofit and the code of regulations. That's Emmett Kelly and Thad Boggs from I always forget it, Frost, Brown, and Todd. And I'll let them speak next.
Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you, Treasurer. And I'll let my esteemed colleague and partner, Thad Boggs, give you some more detail on it. But certainly working with the Treasurer's Office, the administration at the county, and with the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, we were really pleased with this solution. ultimately helping folks retain their homes. So I'll let Thad give you some more detail regarding how the nonprofit will be set up.
Certainly. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thad Boggs from Frost Brown Todd. Before you today is a resolution that authorizes the creation of this STAR Program Incorporated nonprofit corporation. There are a few items in this that I would highlight for you. The exhibit that is included with this resolution is a draft of the Code of Regulations that would govern the operations of this nonprofit corporation. So setting forth its purposes as described by the Treasurer and Ms. Johnson and Mr. Kelly as helping qualified homeowners remain in their homes despite tax delinquency status. It is set up with a board of directors comprising several ex officio positions. These were identified as stakeholders in the program and in the sustainability of it in consultation with Treasurer Brooks Sullivan, and includes representatives of the county administration, the Board of Commissioners, as well as Central Ohio Community Improvement Corporation, Impact Ohio, the Community Shelter Board, and Franklin County Public Health, and then the Franklin County Treasurer or designee. One item that was included to ensure that this corporation remains within its authorized purposes is that any revisions to this Code of Regulations would have to come back before the Board of Commissioners for approval before it could be adopted. And so that is included both in the resolution authorizing its incorporation as well as the Code of Regulations. So with that, happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right.
You want to know how the 49ers are doing? We're 8-5.
No.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares how the Bills are doing either.
He's talking to me.
So if there are no further comments or questions.
I'm sorry, I was just trying to get through all of it. Is the Code of Regulations and supplemental in our documents today? You referenced it, so I just wanted to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
it
I'm
is.
trying to pull it up, and I can't move through this fast
Yes.
enough. So sorry. There has to be a better way.
No, I've said the same thing. It's
It has
so
to be like a
crazy.
next or
It's
something.
so
I don't
crazy.
know.
We need to talk about that.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, DJ Long. What she's saying is, it's hard. I think we talk about this navigating through the legislation when you need something and getting back to it. But that's what she's going through the 1,000 pages that there are to try to figure out. That happens to me all the time.
As the
so.
resident technology expert on the panel, I will be happy to set up a one-on-one with each of you afterwards.
Yeah, in the new year, because these are getting longer. Like the other day was 1,500 pages.
Yeah, no,
This one
I-
is
No, absolutely.
1,380.
And you just sitting there going like this until you get to. I totally. get
I
it.
had paper. I brought paper.
Oh,
In
thank
all honesty,
you.
we'll follow up.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Commissioner, may I really quick when you look through that? Joy Bivens, Deputy County Administrator. I just want to thank the Treasurer's Office for all the efforts in looking at this and really making sure that we have all types of opportunities for folks to stay in place in their original investment. I don't think many folks understand that a house is, generationally has been the haven for a lot of families in order to maintain not just their housing, but their wealth, and for them to pull equity out and do other things. So thank you for so much for you and your team, all that you do, because I believe that the top resident demographically are our seniors, maybe?
Seniors, and unbelievably, it's the zip code 43219.
Yeah.
Most people don't even consider North Linden and Linden as a high home ownership area, and it is.
What is the least amount that you've seen someone lose their home to?
A couple $1,000.
$2,000 on a $50,000, $150,000 investment. Thank you.
I do have a question, if I may, President
Please,
Boyce. Thank
Commissioner
you.
Crowley.
Thank you. When it comes to the board, their term limits, are there term limits? I'm looking at who's on here.
I can address that.
Yeah, I gave you.
There are not, Commissioner Crawley, there are not term limits for these positions because as ex officio positions, if it is a continuing representative, for example, of the county administration, that may be a person who is in that role for an extended period of time.
Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Never mind. Thank you. I don't have any additional questions.
Is there a motion?
If there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 1008-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Abstain.
Resolution 100824 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention.
And Commissioner,
so much.
if I may, just very quickly, Mary Johnson is retiring at the end of this calendar year, and I just wanted to publicly recognize her and her service to Franklin County, to the Board of Commissioners, and the various office holders. Your service has been extraordinarily valuable, and we thank you.
Move to reject her retirement.
You have to stay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks.
We love you.
Thank you so much for your
Congratulations.
service. Yes, congratulations.
Absolutely.
All right, going back to the agenda, back in order. I think we were at sanitary engineers.
Resolution 100124, resolution authorizing the increase in the countywide rate structure for water and sewer services.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Stephen Renner, the Director of the Department of Sanitary Engineering. Commissioners, the last time we raised our water and sewer rates was in 2021. When Columbus raised its rates in 2022, we were able to hold rates steady with a 0% increase. In 2023, we held, again, rates steady. And again, in 2024, we held rates steady. With your leadership, we were able to hold our water and sewer rates steady, meaning a 0% increase for 3 consecutive years. In 2025, the City of Columbus plans to raise their rates 7% and 6% for water and sewer respectively. A few weeks ago, we held a public meeting to listen to our customers and the impact of water and sewer rates therein. Per those discussions, as well as our annual costs, we are recommending a rate increase of 3%, thereby absorbing half in 2025. Also, through our relationship with the City of Columbus, we'll be raising our discount program from 20% to 25%, and the threshold to apply for this discount will raise from 150% to 200% above the 2025 poverty level. Pending any questions, I respectfully request approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Director Renner. If you would, I know that there was public hearing or two. Did you have, and I think we have a speaker's slip too, so we'll get to that. But did you have hearings, and tell us a little bit about the hearings, and then I know the 3% that we're at wasn't the initial proposed rate, and so I just want to make sure I understand that. Is that based on feedback you've gotten from the residents and the public, and maybe talk about how that fits into the debt service formula that we've got for the debt on those systems in the region?
Sure. So you asked a lot. I'll see if I can actually get through that. Commissioner, we did hold a public meeting, a hearing about what is the landscape about water and sewer rates, not just the impact for our department, but also the greater impact in Central Ohio. As we all know, that the City of Columbus is actually the provider largely for those, for both water and sewer services. We also talked about the impact to our department, for such as on the operations side, 57 cents of every dollar that we receive on the water side goes to pay for the cost of water. On the sewer side, it's 51 cents for every dollar that we receive for the sewer services goes to pay the cost for sewer service to the City of Columbus. To your question about our debt service, on the water side, so increasing debt is actually putting upward pressure as well. On the operations side, it is pushing about 18 cents for every dollar on the water side, and on the sewer side, it's about 20 cents. And I can't remember your third question.
I think that's it.
It is, and Commissioner, President Boyce, Commissioner Crowley, Commissioner O'Grady, the other part of your question was the recommendation of the proposal in front of you, and with the increasing costs, and certainly the increasing costs to Director Renner and his department, there are challenges that we continue to have on the infrastructure, et cetera, but hearing from the residents and taking that feedback in about the bridge in terms of making sure that we have a sustainable rate that can be paid by our customers, your customers. The proposal in front of you is 3% rather than the 6 and 7% that the city is passing on to us.
And that's important to note because, we're covering a portion of that cost that we just get right off the top now from the city of Columbus. And as a challenge, Director Renner and DCA Long, that we still need a long-term solution because this model isn't sustainable. The city of Columbus's debt will continue to increase on a substantial level as they meet consent decree orders over the next 20 or 30 more years. And it's just the way it is, that because of the federal guidelines from the EPA for water and sewer overflow separation. That being said, we can't just absorb that cost as a county long-term. And so what this does is it slows down that pass-through or that pass-on of that increase to the folks that we do serve, but ultimately that is going to meet the cost of what we're charged and what is passed on to the public based on the city of Columbus rates to which we buy the water and sewer services from. That, we're going to, at some point, have to figure out that long-term solution. But I'm really grateful and appreciative of, when we talked about it, the sensitivity that you illustrated regarding fee increases and cost increases to those areas, because this Board of Commissioners, I know I speak for my colleagues when I say we take that very seriously. Whenever there is a fee or a cost that's being proposed to be raised, that's not something that we take lightly. It's something that we lose sleep over. It is something that we feel very strong about. It has to be in conjunction with the community understanding the need, as well as us having a long-term sustainable model in place. And while the answers are not completely solved, and we've got a lot more discussions to have, given the growth projections for Central Ohio, this is what I feel like the softest approach that we can take, and the most, soft is not the right word, maybe it's the most thoughtful way, so that it's just not just passed on the burden. And I know Columbus is in a tough position because they're under consent order to make these changes to their water sewer system, and the cost is substantial. And we know that labor has gone up. We know that materials have gone up. And infrastructure is more and more complicated. And now we're competing for works on projects because we have so much going on in Central Ohio. And so I'm glad that you didn't take it lightly. I know when you and DCA Long came to see me how painful it was to have this conversation. And so, that's a reasonable approach given that the cost is actually 6%. So. I think we have a speaker.
We do. Thank you, Commissioner. So right now we have one speaker for this resolution, James Jewell, if you would like to join us at the podium. Before you begin, please go ahead and state your name for the record. We'll have 3 minutes. We'll let you know when 1 minute remains.
Okay.
You can begin whenever you're ready.
James Jewell, the Prairie Township Administrator. Thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity to speak to you regarding Franklin County Department of Sanitary Engineers rate increase. On behalf of our residents and the Prairie Township Board of Trustees, we would like to thank Director Renner, Director Administrator, or Deputy Administrator Long, County Administrator Wilson, and the Commissioners for hearing and listening to our concerns. Yesterday, I had a conversation with Southwestern City Schools Administration and Ohio Health Doctors Hospital representatives, and they would also like to thank everyone for their hard work on minimizing the impact to our area. We appreciate the efforts for the past 3 years of no increases to our residents, especially considering that Columbus has increased your rates for at least 4% each year. With the 2025 increase of Columbus of 7% for water and 6% for sewer, we are appreciative that the sanitary engineer rates will only increase by 3%. We understand that Franklin County and the City of Columbus are working on a long-term solution, and that we trust everyone, including the commissioners, will look out for our residents. Over the past few years, Prairie Township had a strong working relationship with the Sanitary Engineers Department. We have hosted meetings at our facilities. We've assisted with their outreach to our community, and the trustees have sent letters of letters of support for their grant applications. These grants are for water and sewer improvements that serve our constituents, and we look forward to continuing working with Director Renner. Again, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak to you, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. The only thing that I'll add to it is for the listening public, you know, when you are riding your bike on the pathway downtown or the waterways, or you're walking to the riverfront that you see today, what you need to understand is that when Columbus was built, the Scioto was essentially a sanitary sewer overflow, and that has had, the EPA ordered years ago that be mitigated, that be changed, and many municipalities were built that way. I'll be brief here. Were built that way. The EPA ordered that be changed, that you have to have separate sanitary sewer overflow systems, and that is a part of the downtown you see today, that waterway, and the beauty of what looks like today. You know, that is a very deliberate, a very high investment, what you see today, and part of that is the cost of water and sewer in Central Ohio. That's partly why you see these fees going up. And if you get water and sewer from the City of Columbus, you know those fees will go up every year forever because of the improvements that the federal regulators have required on municipalities that were built like Central Ohio. And so I want to just connect those dots for you, that's why in this region, and we're all part of this Central Ohio region. And so when Columbus does it, we're not in a situation where we can just do this all the time. It is a very serious conversation that at some point isn't sustainable. We will have to figure out a new way to approach, and we're talking about that and exploring ways internally to do that with Columbus and other ways. And so hopefully that's something that long-term that we can do, because there's still a lot of work to be done on that waterway, even though it's beautiful now. Just 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was not quite like that. It's quite the other. So,
Commissioner.
Oh, please, Commissioner Grady, please.
So, and I appreciate Administrator Jewell, I appreciate you being here. And Stephen, thank you for all the hard work you put in. And, when Commissioner Boyce says that we take this stuff seriously, we do. I am the commissioner that lives in a township, and, I take these things pretty seriously because it impacts me directly, my wife and I directly, and my neighbors, more importantly, the folks that live in my neighborhood, very, very directly. So we do take these things very, very seriously. So if there are no further comments or questions, I will move approval of Resolution 1001-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 1001-24 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
And I want to say thank you to the trustee for coming down and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you. Public Facilities Management.
Resolution number 1002-24, resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with BBCO Design LLC to provide design professional services associated with the planning, design, selective renovation, and new construction of the master plan implementation at the Franklin County Government Center Bundle 2 in the amount of $1,424,000.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Director, Public Facilities Management. Request for qualifications number 2024-320 requested submissions to provide design professional services associated with the planning, design, selective renovation, and new construction for the master plan implementation at the Franklin County Government Center Bundle 2. 3 submissions were received. BB Co Design LLC, in its response and subsequent scope review sessions, exhibited itself as qualified to provide the scope of services outlined in the RFQ. The design professional services to be provided by BB Co for Master Plan Implementation Bundle 2 include the following: PFM offices relocation and consolidation, purchasing and ODEI buildouts, CSEA improvements, office tower maintenance program for critical aged infrastructure, and the Office of Aging third floor renovation. The construction manager at risk model is being employed on this project, and there is an established 15% SEBE aspirational goal. BB Co is a local firm that is certified as a WBE, MBE, EDGE, and DBE. Pending any questions, PFM respectfully requests your approval of this resolution to execute an agreement with BB Co Design LLC.
If there are no comments or questions, I will move approval of Resolution 1002-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 1002-24 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Human Resources.
Resolution 1003-24, resolution authorizing a contract with Alight Solutions LLC for dependent eligibility audit services for the Franklin County Cooperative Health Improvement Program in the amount of $96,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Samantha Taylor, Franklin County Human Resources. This resolution authorizes a contract with Alight to conduct a dependent eligibility audit in 2025 for the Franklin County Cooperative Health Improvement Program. The purpose of a dependent eligibility audit is to confirm the eligibility of dependents covered by the plan and ensure appropriate use of plan assets. These audits are a standard function of any employer health plan. The not-to-exceed amount of this contract is $96,000. Pending any questions, I respectfully request approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 1003-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 1003-24 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, if I may, and to the clerk, Commissioner Boyce is just stepping out briefly, as I understand. I just wanted to note for the record, we continue to have a quorum here and advise that we can move forward with the next items.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 1004-24, resolution authorizing a contract modification, number 1, with Ohio Health Corporation to update the scope and pricing of Weight Watchers services in the amount of $290,000.
Good afternoon. Jody Lease, Franklin County Human Resources. Ohio Health, through their Employer Services Division, provides employee wellness programming for the members of the Franklin County Cooperative. And it is through this contract that Weight Watchers is made available to our members. This modification accomplishes 2 primary goals. First, it eliminates the cost share for a member to join the Weight Watchers lifestyle program. And secondly, it introduces Weight Watchers Clinic. And this is an optional program for members who are primarily focused on seeking pharmacy interventions for weight management. Pending any questions or comments, I respectfully request approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 1004-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yeah.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution 1004-24 has been adopted.
Thank you.
To the Board of Commissioners.
Resolution 1005-24, resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with Nuveen Global Investments LLC for the construction of an affordable housing development to be located at 620 Norton Road, Columbus, Ohio, that will have income-restricted residential units in the amount of $6 million.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Robin Moorhead, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney.
This resolution approves a grant to Nuveen Global Investments LLC in an amount not to exceed $6 million for an affordable housing development that will be located at 620 Norton Road. The project will consist of 225 affordable units at or below 60% AMI for 30 years. The MOU would also require Nuveen or any subsequent owner of the project to maintain both the project and the project site as set forth in the MOU. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I will move for the approval of Resolution 1005-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution 1005-24 has been adopted. Resolution 1006-24, resolution authorizing a commitment for $19 million for 2 future affordable housing developments consisting of approximately 1,000 affordable residential units to be developed by Nuveen Global Investments LLC or a Nuveen affiliate in the amount of $19 million.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize a commitment of $19 million for 2 future affordable housing developments to be developed by Nuveen Global Investments LLC or a Nuveen affiliate. Nuveen recently purchased 525 Sawyer Boulevard and 777 Wedgewood Drive with the intent to develop both locations into 2 future affordable housing developments consisting of approximately 1,000 affordable units. This commitment of funding is subject to future memorandums of understanding between the county and Nuveen for each project, which will be subject to future board approval. Pending any questions, I respectfully request the approval of this resolution.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I thank you for that presentation. I just really want to underscore how many units, this resolution and the previous resolution, we're talking about almost a little over 1,200 affordable housing units that are really affordable, between, I think, 30 and 60% AMI, which when we heard our presentation earlier today in administrative briefing with Community Shelter Board and the YMCA or YWCA, as well as Lutheran Social Services, that the stock for affordable housing just isn't there for low-income our low-income neighbors. And so when we think about those who need housing the most, it is usually the 30% to 60% AMI. We here at the for these 2 resolutions, just say that 1,200 units may seem like a drop in the bucket given the scale of what we need and how far behind we are in building, and it's going to be hard to build our way out of it, but we know we have to build. And so when I think about just this public-private partnership, and that's what it will take to meet the need. It will be all hands on deck. We have talked about it over and over again, that it can't just always be public dollars. It has to be private as well, and really excited about this partnership, but excited for the community. When we think about Sawyer Towers, with me, NAACP president, Congresswoman Beatty, first ones on site with a call from DCA Bivens about a water break or a pipe busted, I want to say, at 525 Latitude. I think that's the name of it, but we call it Sawyer Towers. And having to move people out during the holiday, during this time, on Christmas Day. And, for those individuals to be displaced and all of the things that has gone through. And then we see something similar with Wedgewood. And the thought behind transforming these communities and providing housing that will have supportive services. And so I know DCA Bivens probably wants to speak to the supportive services and the wraparound services. And I know people are sometimes say, well, you don't want to have affordable housing just in one place because you don't want to concentrate poverty. But this is about putting people on a path to economic mobility, put them on a path of sustainability for themselves and their families, so they can thrive and not just survive. That we are providing, an opportunity. I always say service, progress, excellence, and opportunity for our residents. And so I don't know. I don't hate to put you on the spot. I'm sorry, DC Bibbins, but I don't want for it to be lost on folks that this is just housing. It's not just housing. It's not. And when we think about the social determinants of health, we know that our health outcomes are increased and positive when we provide safe, stable, and affordable housing for our neighbors. And so can you talk a little bit about?
Absolutely, Commissioner, and thank you so much. Joy Bivens, Deputy County Administrator of Health and Human Services. I know our county administrator will speak to the administrative due diligence that was done by this administration prior to this, but I do want to lift up that both Sawyer Tower and Wedgewood, I believe, well, I know Sawyer Tower for sure, this organization had a bid on these properties. And when Sawyer Tower went down, there was a call out to the community to develop an RFP that was human-centric design, where they asked the community, we know we had to move you out, and this is spearheaded by the city. We want to hear from you on what would you like to see going back into this facility once it comes up on scale. The community and other stakeholders provided input. The commissioners were asked as well. In addition to, there was a bid, I believe, on Wedgewood. Me, myself, the commissioners, and others have looked at other properties that this organization has owned. One of the things that I will say is they've done a really good job of working with supportive services, putting it in place where folks have lived. So there's an example where folks who go into their facilities, their living units, they sign them up for credit repair, credit monitoring, those types of things, but also allowing and building space for supportive services to be either on-site or close proximity. When we looked at what happened at Sawyer Tower and the condition that those residents were living in, not one person in this room would stand for it. So this organization, I can say, after looking at some of the things that they have done, they make it a point to make sure that they are, to Commissioner Crawley's point, they're not building, we're not trying to concentrate poverty. They don't even look like buildings that folks who are low income. There's solar panels on the top to make sure that we are being intentional about energy efficiency. Like I said, the credit repair, putting the services in place, place-based strategies. When folks find themselves in unfortunate situations, we can respond. So we will be working with them, looking at all the residents who will be taking residence in these facilities and figuring out what supportive services need to be in place to prevent what has happened before. This organization also, and I think the county administrator will speak to that, I think they've worked with other organizations to see who can partner with them in assisting in not only building, but also what other supportive services can go in place to support these residents that will be living in these facilities. But I did want to lift up, there was an RFP that went out, there was a bid, the community had a voice in what goes in, and then this organization won that bid in a competitive process.
Administrator Wilson.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady. Thank you, Commissioner Crawley. Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. I know it's been a very long day, and these are two very important resolutions because we all know how important it is to have, as DCA Bibbins stated, safe and quality housing. One of the things that distinguishes Naveen and Path Management, who we are partnering with on this, is that they build in a security standpoint, security component to their projects so that families feel safe and secure. And that's a fundamental thing that every resident in this county desires to have at a place they call home. Also, there are components built into this that will ensure that history does not repeat itself for several decades as it relates to a property being built out and then disinvested in allowing people to live in circumstances that are not up to par. Does not give people a healthy environment and leads to the collapses that have been highlighted here in the county, and we continue to have more work to do. This is both with the 620 Norton Road, that will be a new construction, as well as the other two projects we will be working on are rehabilitations that are important in rebuilding communities. And also, a component I must credit Commissioner Crawley for is these units will also provide Wi-Fi service for the residents, and it'll be built in free of charge. And we've learned over the last 4 years that Wi-Fi and broadband access is a critical public utility. It is something that residents must have. And this is an investment that you all are making as a board that is sustainable in the fact that these units will be at or below 60% of area median income for a period of 30 years. That is very meaningful as far as our community is concerned. So, and this process itself has been 2.5 years or so of internal due diligence, as well as we contracted with an expert in this field to review these projects, so we can have confidence that everything is done in a proper fashion. So these are significant investments. Yes, they are. But following this board's leadership, we've gone through an extensive due diligence process that creates a template for county administration to follow in the future. And lastly, I would like to thank Robin Moorhead and Janine Hummer for all of their work in this area of working with us on affordable housing contracts. I think we have actually developed a process that will make us much better as we proceed forward, and we continue to look at affordable, sustainable housing in Franklin County. So I want to thank each and every member of the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office that we continue to work with, and they can be tough when necessary to get language that we need to protect the interests of our residents, but also reasonable at the same time, understanding how critical it is that we deliver these affordable units at the end of the day when we think about, what happens if we don't. So I just want to say that this is a very significant event here to be working with Naveen Impact Investments on these developments. So thank you, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Crawley.
So one last thing I think we need to highlight here is, while all these fantastic points have been made about these two resolutions, these resolutions are critical for all the points that all you guys have made about these things, or these two resolutions. These developments, the 620 Norton Road being a new development is fantastic, proud to support it. The Wedgewood development and the Sawyer Tower development, we are taking, this $19 million, we are taking two of the most difficult, notorious developments, housing developments in central Ohio. I grew up knowing about and being aware of and avoiding Wedgewood for most of my youth and then again my adult life. I've been hearing about Wedgewood from people that I've known my whole life. I'm sure that all of us have known and been avoiding Sawyer Tower for most of our it's been notorious for most of our lives. most of the time that we've spent in Columbus. These two, or this second resolution will make those two developments into something that this community can be proud of. Because not only will it redevelop them, it will then provide the wraparound services, and as Administrator Wilson highlighted, the security for those two developments. And will provide something completely new and different that this community hasn't seen from either one of those developments in a couple of generations. And so, I'm unbelievably excited about what this will do and what this company, that Nuveen, because we've been and we've seen what they do and what their model is and what they are all about. And so it's a great partnership, and we're very excited about it. And the work that Administrator Wilson was talking about, and that DCA Bivens was talking about, that the due diligence that we did with our partner to go out and know that what we saw when we went and visited to see their developments wasn't just a facade, wasn't just a charade that they showed us just to get us to buy in. That they've got a history, and they've got a track record of this is who they are and what they do. Very proud to support this resolution.
And Commissioner, really quick, in looking at their model, they are known for working with home team. So whatever facilities will go up, they are making commitments to utilize contractors, small business folks within the community, so that the community is invested in holding hand on what they're building.
Yeah. Even for their security teams, they have hired from the community. They have workforce programs similar to a Building Futures, where residents can have job skills and employment. It's something unlike anything I've ever seen. And I do want to thank administration for over the 2.5 years working with the prosecutor's office. Thank you all for all that you've done, but really want to thank administration for continuing to move the conversations, take what the commissioners have said, whether it was questions or concerns or more due diligence, and continuing to move those conversations forward. And so I want to thank you all for all that you have done over this time.
Thank you. There's one last point I'd like to make, picking up on what DCA Bivens pointed out, is that this projects have economic inclusion built into them, which is a priority for this board. This project has an aspirational goal of 30% of the project being dedicated to small emerging and minority businesses. Also, I will point out that this is fiscally prudent and sustainable action by this board, what you're considering, because there are conveyance fee dollars that are collected and dedicated for this very purpose, to identify and find viable projects. Thank you.
Well, if there are no further comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 1006-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Resolution 1006-24 has been adopted. Resolution 1009-24. Resolution authorizing a second contract amendment to the contract with Service Relief for Hospitality Workers. My apologies. Service Relief for Hospitality Workers to extend the term of the contract for 2 years in the amount of $3,500,000.
Commissioners, this resolution authorizes a second contract amendment to the contract between Franklin County and Service Relief for Hospitality Workers to extend the term of the contract for an additional 2 years for continued cafeteria services and a job and workforce development program. This resolution would also allow Service to pay its employees a one-time retention bonus to be paid in December of 2024. The Second Amendment will also add $3.5 million in funding for the contract for the 2-year extension term. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 1009-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 1009-24 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution 1010-24, resolution authorizing an amendment to the lease agreement with Repsa LLC.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jesse Armstrong, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. The next two resolutions both pertain to the real property on Morris Road, which is home to the Franklin County Board of Elections. As you know, the county already owns one of the units in the building, Unit 400, which is used as the Board of Elections' primary offices. And as you also know, over the last few years, as additional space within that footprint has become available, we have entered in additional leases and amendments to leases to bring additional space under the county's control for further Board of Elections purposes. So this first resolution would be an amendment to the existing leases to actually establish an option to purchase units 200, 300, and 500 at the Morris Plaza condominium. Those are the 3 additional units where the county currently rents space. This resolution would actually authorize the county administrator to execute the amendment, not substantially inconsistent with the draft that was attached for your packet. We have agreed in principle to all the major terms for this option to purchase and are continuing to work with the landlord and their counsel on some of the finer details. On the finer details. The major items or elements of the option would be, it would be a reciprocal option, so the county could elect to make the purchase, or the landlord could also elect to initiate the transaction. The option would become effective on January 1st, 2030. There was an issue or a concern about with continuing improvements of these lease spaces coming to a purchase price that was fair and the county was not being double or overbilled, so to speak, for the improvements that are already ongoing. And so I believe we've found a resolution to that, in that the landlord and county will have the property appraised effective January 1st, 2025 now, prior to completion of all those improvements, which will become the base purchase price. And then that base price is multiplied by just 1.75% annually until we get to the closing date in the event that either party elects to initiate the transfer.
If there are.
No, I do have questions.
I'm sorry, I lost my place there, Commissioners. Before any questions, if and when the county or the landlord do trigger the transfer to the county, we would then enter a real estate purchase contract that would fully flush out all the details of the transaction and the closing of the sale. So pending any questions, I request your approval.
Thank you. So just to be clear, so what do we own on the site and what are we leasing? Because you said owned and leasing several times. I got slightly confused.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. That's a good question. We own what is described as Unit 400. And I'm sorry I don't have the exact square footage there, but it is the largest chunk of the building footprint that you're familiar with, if you're familiar with the Board of Elections.
You know, I've never been there before.
No.
Yeah, okay.
So,
yeah. So the major facility we own.
Correct.
And tell me about what we're leasing, what we're going to buy now versus what we're going to continue to lease.
Sure. We have leases that, and again, Unit 400 is the largest chunk of the building, is the Board of Elections. There are 3 other units within that building footprint. Those are called Units 200, 300, and 400.
What's in there now?
500.
And 500. Thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead, Deputy Administrator Long.
Thank you, Jesse.
Deputy Administrator Long was chomping at the bit.
I couldn't wait. I just jumped right in and cut off Jesse.
This is her stuff right here. This is her stuff.
So what you think of as Board of Elections, we own. It's part of a condominium association. As different component parts became available, we immediately entered into a lease at your direction. So the former Payless, the former GameStop, now the former Sam Ash, and Home Buys. So all of those are, and Jesse will talk about each of those, but all of those are in a long-term lease. And what this does is put in that option to purchase, so it locks in your investment, the investment as we're going in to ensuring, just like the Early Vote Center, the former GameStop and Payless was used as the Early Vote Center as an extension of Board of Elections.
Okay, so we don't currently own it. We're in a lease, but we're kind of, this is a lease to own kind of relationship is being evolving into a lease to own kind of relationship.
An option, yep, an option to purchase.
But currently, we don't own any of it. 'Cause
We own the Board of Elections.
We own the actual,
Yeah.
The old Coles building.
The old
Right, so
Coles
the major-
building.
the major, we
Yep,
do
that we
okay.
own.
Okay,
That
I'm
we
not sure I
own.
was clear there. Okay.
Mhm.
And then, excellent, excellent. You know, I'm a huge advocate of the idea that we need to build a Board of Elections for today's technology and time. And that there, to me, that's a safety issue, that's a logistics issue. There's so many different parts of this that I think we can set the tone for in a redesign here. My question is, what about the parking lot? Who owns the parking lot? And then secondly, the facilities, there are a couple of facilities in the parking lot, if I remember correctly. And then what about the other property?
Adjacent.
Yeah, what is that, Value City? No, that's,
Sagara.
yeah.
Isn't that the international market?
That's a little bit further down.
No,
There-
yeah,
but
but
there's
right,
one.
right next to it. Yeah, right.
Oh,
next
is
was
that a
Value-
mattress?
Yeah, it was
That's a
Value.
mattress
It was
facility.
Value City at one time.
It
So what
was.
about that property? Is that, and
So I'll start. Jesse's not close enough to kick me under the table when he needs to, but, the Repsa does own, there's a bank at the front. They
Right,
own
right.
that
That's
piece
on
of
the-
it
in the-
and a Burger
that's
King.
in the parking lot, essentially.
Yes. But there's also a bank at the back, which is part of the Huntington, which is part of the, a part of the condominium association. The commissioners, you have a long-term lease on a small little parking lot that's adjacent that we have access to, and we will be having further conversations. Director Reardon, myself, Jesse Armstrong, and others will be coming back to you very soon with a host of proposals on parking, and that maximizing not only restriping and the better use of that lot, including the owner of that facility right now has a request into the city, for instance, to vacate that service drive, to turn that into parking. And there may be structured parking that we come back to you to have at least a conversation about in terms of how to make sure that is a best-in-class facility for voting when we need it. The other piece that I wanted to share with you as part of the redevelopment of a state-of-the-art facility and taking kind of that box and making it exactly what the Board of Elections needs in that space is that we are also creating meeting space at times when the Board of Elections doesn't need it for the county to utilize in different spaces with access to parking. And so we really don't have tremendous access. We certainly have the use of the Harmony space on occasion, but in terms of meeting space, we're trying to maximize that piece of it. The other component of it, and I really will let you talk, Jesse, in just a moment, is that Purchasing Department and Megan Perry Bellinier has the print shop that is located in that space, and that is also being expanded to ensure that we're forward-thinking over the next 20 and 30 years so that print shop has the capacity and the space and the technology to do what they need to do going forward for our needs. And Adam Frumkin in the data center and Juan Torres and others have been with us the whole way to make sure technology-wise, security-wise, that we are thinking through all of those on the front end as that development continues. Jesse, what did I miss?
Thank you, Deputy Administrator Long. I would just add that with respect to parking, so the main parking lot in front, as you know it, is part of, this is owned in a condominium. So even if, after any purchase would occur, we would become the majority owner of the condominium and of the condominium association. So we would continue to have full access and rights to that. Ultimately, down the line, and we would need to work this out with the landlord as well, because there's one unit, the bank, I believe, which we would not be purchasing, at least under this amendment. But they would be another unit of ownership in that condominium and could share in some of that parking. But everything, all the parking that you see there now will continue to be accessible and utilized by the Board of Elections and residents coming to that facility.
The one thing I want to caution on the service road discussion and the easement, being thoughtful about the traffic being backed up on Morris Road during elections and how that causes, I mean, we had people who were in line on Morris Road to park, but didn't get there before the Board of Elections closed. And so once, if you're not in line, in like physical line, then you can't vote. And so we want to be thoughtful about maybe, and I'm not an engineer or traffic engineer, so I don't know if this works or not, but I'd be thoughtful at least about the service road if there was a way to get those cars off of Morris Road so that, you know, the flow can be better when we need it to be for elections and just not, you know, backing it up because, you know, at one point it was 4 hours from the time you end up in line on Morris Road to the time you vote. And it all went quick and smoothly to the credit of the employees, the great employees of the Board of Elections, but 4 hours is a lot to ask people to be in line to vote for. And I think we see it in some of the number of the turnout being lower than before too. I just want to be thoughtful about that. The second thing I want to just throw out there was to the folks who are listening to public, you know, there are some things that by law the county is ordained or required to provide or administer. One of those is the election. Every single year there is an election that the county administers. And it is one of those functions that is core to what we are and so that's why I make the case for a Board of Elections. In most cases, Board of Elections have been retrofitted like ours, as great as it is, to accommodate, but there are various scenarios around safety, access, compliant, ADA compliance, you just go down a list that make, because the sign is, the site is not engineered or designed for, still makes it slightly one-off to be able to best accommodate the folks. And since we have to do this forever, we'll be administering unless state law changes, but something that we should really think about as presenting as our highest standard, because the county just has a high standard in everything we do. And so this is one of those things that I think the public will get to see, feel, and be a part of that is important. And so I think it's great that we're, you know, that this is, and DJ Long and I have talked so much about all that we're investing from the lease standpoint, really just being able to get something out of that in the big scheme of things when the day comes. So,
Commissioner Boyce.
Oh, please, Commissioner Gray, I'm sorry.
This is also an issue that Commissioner Long, or Administrator Long and I have had a lot of conversations about. So a couple things. And one, I guess, and if this is not the appropriate venue, then go ahead and let me know. But the one question would be the final piece of the puzzle, which is the Papa John's. Is there any news on that?
No news that we're aware of right now. They are a holdout in that space, so.
Commissioner, of the entire facility, there is one last piece of the puzzle, and that's the Papa John's space. And so we're hoping at some point in the not-too-distant future that we'll be able to own the entire, or have control of, and then eventually own the entire.
But they own that or lease that?
They lease it.
They lease it.
Okay,
They lease
so when
it.
does their lease run out?
I will find out, I'll get that information to you.
It runs at the end of 2030.
So so it's not big, but it's right in the middle of everything.
As long as they don't own it.
They do not own it.
Yeah, as long as if it's just a lease.
But it's the only piece left, and so they're right there in the middle of all that.
Well, but besides the banks.
And we have the first.
Well, yeah, but those are out parcels, but yes, and they're on the other end of they're at the other end of the lot, but.
And we have the first right.
And then the other question, and I'm sorry, we're sorry for, this is, we could be done, but we also didn't have briefing last week, so.
Right.
And this is the last meeting of the year, and so it's our last opportunity for a few weeks anyway to be able to get some questions answered, so apologize for holding things up. And this is literally my last question. But you mentioned the traffic on Morse Road. And I've had these conversations with DCA Long many times, but I think that we will be entering into conversations with the city of Columbus about the possibility of trying to alleviate that, because each time I go up there in a heavy election, I mean, when, next year's election, when there's not, sadly, when there's not as high a turnout, it won't be tough to get into the parking lot. But, there's a couple of, last month, when we had a heavy turnout election, had lines backed up past the intersection going both directions. And so what we discussed was the possibility of having a conversation with the city about maybe having a couple of entrance lanes into that parking lot, or whatever, trying to figure out a way to alleviate that so that we don't have traffic backed up in both directions and on Carl Road. For the biggest reason being, it's terrible when you're up there and you can tell that there's people that are just pulling around and leaving and basically foregoing they're discouraged and they're saying, I'll vote against, I'll vote some other time. We certainly don't want to see that happen. Or having other people that aren't even there to vote. They're just trying to get down Morse Road and they're backed up and they're just exasperated by the traffic pattern on Morse Road by all the people that are there to vote. So trying to figure out how to alleviate all of that. And I think that our friends and partners at the City of Columbus will work with us to try to figure all that out.
Yeah. Well said. I just say it too that, I think Commissioner Grady is spot on. But we went in these off election years when it's not, when the turnout's lower. Our goal is that every election, everybody comes out, and so if we make it accommodating and make the experience, I know you all remember the times when Board of Elections was on Broad Street or it was somewhere else too, so I've been a lot, but the point is that it's an experience now. You go down there and it's like, you're in line for a few hours, there's music playing and candidates out here. And I think there's something to harness here and make an election process a fun experience, a good experience, a positive experience, a educational experience, and all the pieces are there. But the logistics is something that we've got to, there's still some room to master. And as Commissioner Grady just outlined, certainly our friends over at the City of Columbus can help us think this through. But this is we have an opportunity to do something for the ages here with this and create something that is in a class by itself. And so let's start that process now to maybe look at other examples nationally of Board of Elections facilities that meet that standard and go to the next standard to design our own. It's not just, this is what they did so-and-so place, so let's do that here. It's let's think about what accommodates, as Commissioner Grady was outlining, those municipal years and where we can, make that adjustment, a special election, all kinds of, there are various scenarios that we can do this in a way, and think about it, Commissioner Grady, I know he's always been an advocate of economic development. Think about what economic development ideas that we can put in place around it. Now you've got food trucks out there that show up and serve, but think about some environments that might be exciting with food trucks or restaurants or whatever. One little story I'll tell you, I was in Los Angeles some time ago, and I'm an electric car advocate, and they had these parking lots in Los Angeles that were like electric car charging parking lots, and you go and you plug in, but it was an experience. It was like food, you could buy food, eat lunch, you could log on to the internet and had an iPad that you could use to watch TV, take a nap while your car was charging up, and it was just an experience. And so it's different than when I go to charge here. It's like, charge it, let me go find something to do for a couple hours, But there, it was really an experience, and there's no reason that elections can't be that, and we see that, because it didn't used to be this way at the Board of Elections. Where it was
No,
an experience.
I would tell you that from my conversations with my colleagues across the state, certainly across the state, but also across the country, we already have kind of a one-off here where we already have one of the best, if not the best, election experiences and one of the best run elections, at least from an early vote situation or a Board of Elections site in the country, certainly in the state. That being said, there are a bunch of ways that we can improve our situation. Just from being up there, all you have to do is go up there and experience it and see the parking lot's bad, just from the striping, the traffic patterns are bad in the parking lot, let alone out on the street. There's so many things that are not right about it, even though it's better than it was 4, 8, and 12 years ago. It's way better than it was. I mean, immensely better than it was. But that's because we make it better every 4 years because we're trying to make it better. We're doing all the things that we need to do to try to make it better. But I think we're now at a point where we're getting this close. And when I talk to my colleagues in Cuyahoga County, they'll tell you it's a mess. When I talk to my colleagues in Hamilton County and Montgomery County, they'll tell you, Summit County, they'll tell you that it's a mess. And when I talk to my colleagues across the country, they'll tell you their situation's a mess too. I am certain that there are other places around the country where it's really, really well done. But we're getting there. We are getting there. But there are these things that that the three commissioners keep bringing up with you, that are things that if we do these things, we can get to where we need to be. So,
Absolutely, and those things are incredibly important. We're committed and excited to keep bringing back ideas to make it, we want it to be best-in-class experience each year, whether it's a presidential election year or a municipal election year. And so we've got opportunity to build on. We know there's a lot of work to be done, but we're committed to doing it.
yeah. Anyway, and we have time now because next year will be, I don't like to call them off-year elections, but next year will be it'll be less trafficked next year than it was this year. So we have time in the 2025 election cycle.
Right.
To get ready for 26, and then in 27, we'll have some time to get ready for 28. So, anyway.
Commissioners,
sorry.
if I may make one additional point, I know there was discussion about the Papa John's location, but just to clarify, by a prior amendment that you passed this year, we have a right to actually take over that space by lease under our current leases, if and when that current lease of Papa John's expires. And the amendment that's before you now with the purchase option would actually include that space. So this purchase option that you're going to vote on under this amendment would allow us to potentially purchase that entire property, including that Papa John's space. So we would then own the entire footprint of that
So we
building.
could be a bad neighbor and kick them out? It allows us to. Well, we wouldn't be like that. We'd be nice to them. Help them find another location. No, I mean, from my conversations, though, I thought they were actually looking for another location.
I think we're hearing mixed ideas, but we're ready the moment it becomes available.
I got you. Okay, well, that's good news. So, all right, we're not like that. We're not looking to throw anybody out, even if they are corporate. So, because there's somebody there that's a local person. Anyway, we are on 1010? 1010. All right, so without further conversation or any other comments, I will move approval of resolution 101024.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 101024 has been adopted. Resolution 101124, resolution approving the second addendum to the tenant improvement agreement with REPSA LLC and NMRD3 Limited.
Commissioners, as the second resolution here related to the Board of Elections space on Morris Road, this second addendum to the tenant improvement agreement would permit the next phase of the renovations of this consolidated space to move forward. This would impact units 200, 300, and 400 of this space. It would allow for additional pre-development, design, and demolition work to be performed. The total cost would not exceed $1,197,700. $700. This would prepare some design for the future renovation of the overall space, but we would anticipate, as part of another phase, for an additional amendment and additional funding for the actual ultimate construction of the unified improvements for all of these spaces in the future. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
And if there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 10-1124.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 10-1124 has been adopted. Resolution 10-1224, resolution authorizing an amendment to the grant agreement with Legal Aid of Southeast and Central Ohio to provide legal assistance to tenants facing eviction in Franklin County in the amount of $250,000.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Zach Tlarek with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution would authorize an extension of the agreement originally approved by Resolution 506-23 from December 31st to September 30th of 2025 and increases the amount from $500,000 to $750,000. This agreement is supported with funds provided through the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 10-1224.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 10-1224 has been adopted. Resolution 10-1324, resolution authorizing two amendments to the development agreement among the county, the city of Columbus, Crew SC Stadium Company, LLC, the Confluence Community Authority, and Crew SC Development Company, LLC, including a third amendment to the development agreement for the support of a community sports campus that will include a community recreation facility and playing fields, and a fourth amendment to the development agreement for the support of workforce housing and the mixed-use development.
Commissioners, the third amendment to the development agreement would expand the location of the community sports park to include other potential sites, including the city-owned Kilbourne Run Sports Park, while the fourth amendment would increase the original affordable housing commitment from 20% to 25% of all occupied housing units. 20% of the occupied housing units would be affordable to household incomes up to 80% of area median income, and an additional 5% would be up to 100% AMI. Emmett Kelly with Frost Brown Todd is also available to answer any questions. Pending your approval.
You just here to answer questions, or do you have something?
I'm here to answer questions.
Okay. Anybody? If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 10-1324.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Abstain.
Resolution 10-1324 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention.
Thank you.
Resolution 10-1424, resolution reconciling 2024 appropriations to align with projected ending revenues in the amended Certificate of Estimated Resources.
Commissioners, this resolution is part of the annual review required by the Auditor of State's Office to reduce appropriations in order to ensure estimated resources do not fall below the level of current appropriations, as well as authorize other adjustments for financial reporting purposes to properly account for expenditures prior to the end of the year. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I will move approval of Resolution 10-1424.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 10-1424 has been adopted. Resolution 10-1524, resolution authorizing a general fund supplemental appropriation to record the administrative fee charged by the State Tax Commissioner for the collection of the county's sales tax.
This is the annual resolution to account for the 1% administrative fee. The Auditor of State's Office requires the county to account for this expense and the offsetting revenue, similar to how property taxes are accounted for at the gross amount offset by charges for the various auditor and treasurer fees. The total amount of the 1% administrative fee, along with the offsetting revenue, is approximately $4 million. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 10-1524.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 10-1524 has been adopted. Resolution 10-1624, resolution authorizing transfers to various operating reserve and capital funds.
Commissioners, this resolution is our annual year-end transfers and includes operational support for various non-general fund agencies such as JFS, Child Support, Justice Policy and Programs, and Animal Care and Control. It also includes transfers to support capital projects such as $6 million to the sanitary engineer for the Kanawha Roslyn project and $1 million to the Fleet Capital Fund for the purchase of vehicle, and also includes transfers of $1 million each to the 27th Pay Reserve and Risk Management Funds. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move approval of Resolution 101624.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 101624 has been adopted. Resolution 101724, resolution authorizing the annual appropriation measure for fiscal year 2025.
And my final resolution today would authorize the 2025 appropriation measure for Franklin County. Under the direction of the county administrator, the Office of Management and Budget has put together this $2.2 billion budget for the 35 agencies under the budgetary authority of the commissioners. The proposed budget for the general fund is $677 million, which is less than 1% more than the 2024 projected expenditures. The main source of revenue in the general fund is the sales tax, which is estimated at $414 million and comprises 62% of general fund revenue. Due to stagnating revenues, the end of federal pandemic support, and increasing costs, the 2025 budget includes a $12 million draw from unrestricted cash reserves. Despite the use of these reserves, the 2025 budget keeps the cash balance among the levels of other counties rated AAA by Moody's and Standard & Poor's, and the county's Economic Stabilization Reserve, or Rainy Day Fund, will remain untouched. Before turning to the county administrator for any few words, I'd like to thank the fiscal staff at each of the agencies, boards, courts, and elected offices for working with OMB during this year's process, as well as the staff within the Office of Management and Budget, both who are in the audience and online.
President Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Crowley, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. I would like to, as I stated when recommending the budget last month, I want to give a special acknowledgement to a very close partner of mine, the OMB Director, Zach Telerik, and the entire team of the Office of Management and Budget that have come out. We don't see them all the time. They be here putting in work, but I want to again commend them for their work. This is not a short process to come to a budget of $2.2 billion, $2,256,636 and $615. That is a lot. In 35 agencies, our dedicated employees of Team Franklin County and the elected officials, and we could not do this without the leadership of you all as commissioners, ensuring that we act in a fiscally prudent manner, and as evidenced by the discussion we just had concerning the Board of Elections, you all want us to be best in class in everything we do to the extent possible, and you all motivate us to do better, just like I guess we might have to have, I see the PFM director in the back, Darla Reardon, we might have to put service progress and excellence and opportunity to see if those letters fit, because I think we've been told to change and add something extra. If not, we will just act in silence and promote opportunity, economic mobility, all those things we talk about each and every day. And as Director Telerik says, that we have gone through some fiscal challenges due to the pandemic. We were blessed to have federal appropriations provided at a generational level that we've been able to expend prudently and effectively and have pulled us through this moment. But there are some things that we are cognizant of, as the director pointed out, using some cash that we've built up, $12 million in this budget. But we have a double AAA bond rating. We have an excellent team of individuals that are serving the 1.35 million residents of Franklin County. And I respectfully would recommend passage and consideration of this budget for 2025.
Other questions or comments?
I didn't know, President Boyce, if we can make comments now about whether the budget or just ending this year, or if you wanted to wait.
No, that's just be perfect. I'm gonna make
Okay.
some too. So,
Okay.
yeah.
If you don't mind, then.
please.
Thank you. Thank you to the budget staff. Thank you to administration. Thank you for putting together this fiscally prudent budget for 2025. Looking forward to serving and meeting the needs of the community in the next year. But I want to say thank you to all of the staff across 35 agencies for all the work that you have done for 2024. We had some very big aspirational goals, trying to meet the needs of our neighbors with shifting priorities, with shifting emergencies, still seeing the impact of COVID-19. And so it doesn't, I don't take it lightly, all the work that you all do each and every day. We talk about how the commissioners set the vision for the county, but the vision is based off of the needs of our community members. But it is the staff across all 35 agencies that implement that vision and move it forward each and every day. So thank you. Thank you. And I know thank you is insufficient, but my limited vocabulary, that's what I have, is just saying thank you. My gratitude for what you do each and every day grows every day. And I want to say thank you to administration for all that you do, to Administrator Wilson and our deputy county administrators for having to, deal with 3 very different commissioners, but we might be different, but our love for our community is the same. We wake up, and I know they'll say their comments, but I know that we all wake up each and every day trying to figure out what we can do to make the lives better for our neighbors. There are days that I don't sleep because I am trying to figure out how to solve a problem. I spend probably more time here than I do at home. And I always get mushy. I don't take it lightly, the responsibility to serve you all and to be in this position. I've only been living here 10 years, and to even be in this position, that's only by the grace of God that He allows me to have this opportunity and the privilege to serve you all, whether it's administration, whether it's our staff, again, across the BOC and 35 agencies, but an honor to serve our residents, to provide service, to move progress forward, and that our service is excellent, and to provide opportunities. To my colleagues, it is an absolute honor to serve beside you all. I apologize to Commissioner Boyce earlier for getting the Steelers record wrong, and I was like, I have been claiming a win since the last meeting between the Browns and the Steelers, but I did that because I never want to undermine him. These aren't just my colleagues; I consider them my friends, and so. For 2024, it's been great serving with you all. As you all see, we have fun, but we take our work very, very seriously. We deal with big issues. We deal with complex issues. And sometimes, a lot of times, we don't have the answer for, but we're trying to figure it out each and every day. And the fact that I get to sit here next to them, where they have the same passion, the drive to make sure that we move this county forward, that we continue to be one that's a AAA bond rating, that we are looked to by other counties as one of excellence, one of forward thinking, innovative. I am excited about the work and the opportunity to serve, and looking forward to more of that in 2024. And so, again, I wish I had something beyond thank you to my colleagues, but thank you. It's an honor to serve with you all, and I'm looking forward to what we can do, even bolder, even better, and definitely an even brighter future for 2025. Thank you.
Very well said.
Well, I'd also like to say thank you to my colleagues, but I also want to say thank you to all of you guys, because, as I always say, you guys, you make us look good, which isn't easy all the time, I know. but also, you guys do all the work on behalf of, as we say, every resident every day. And Commissioner Boyce and I got reelected last month, and I get to, in January, I get to start my 17th year. I get to start my 5th term as a county commissioner. And I enjoy it every bit as much now as I did when I first became a county commissioner. And other than my wife and kids, it's the love of my life. I appreciate this job and the work that we do more than anything else. And because we're working on behalf of the residents of Franklin County. And the work when we go to CCAO, when I go to CCAO, when I go to NACO, I'm proud of what we do here. I'm proud of the work that all of you guys do on behalf of the residents of Franklin County, and I'm proud to share it. I'm proud to share what we do on behalf of the residents of this county, because I know that what we're doing is some of the best work in the country. And I know that, we brag a lot about Franklin County, but I know that bravado, that braggadocious attitude that we have is well-founded, because I know that the service that we're giving our community, our residents, is as good as anybody's giving their residents throughout the country. I also like to go to those things because I like to learn. I like to hear. Joy and I talked about this. We talk about it all the time. I like to learn what they're doing in other counties across the state and what they're doing in other counties across the country. There's no idea out there that's too good to steal, and bring it back here and continue to serve our community here. And when we're on these calls that we do every month with the elected officials in Franklin County, I always like to remind them to say thank you on behalf of the commissioners, to all of the staff that, of their agencies, whether it's the directors or the other elected officials, because the work that the staff is doing on behalf of the residents is the most important stuff. We get the credit. We get all the credit, we get all the glory, but the work that you guys are doing is what matters. We just get to sit up here every week and make the votes. Sometimes it's hard, but usually it's not. Usually the work that we do is the glory. Usually the work that we do is the easy part. Usually the work that we do is, it's the culmination of all the hard work that you guys do. Every once in a while, we have to make some hard decisions. Every couple of weeks, every month or so, we have to make a really tough decision. But that's what we got elected for. The work that you guys are doing every day, that's all the hard stuff. That's all the blocking and tackling. That's all the stuff that's the heavy lifting. So we really appreciate the stuff that you guys do day in and day out. The stuff that these guys do to get the budget ready for us to vote on. The stuff that you guys are all doing every day to serve the residents. That's the hard work. So we really appreciate all of you.
Trying to figure out where to start. One, let me thank my colleagues. Let me start there. That, man, serving with you guys is. I wouldn't pick, and I mean this. I would not sit next to two other people. I mean, you guys make this job fun, interesting, challenging, and in every way. And we don't always agree on everything. Sometimes it looks like we're up here, we all in sync, and just kind of going through the process. That's not the case. There are a lot of conversations that go on, and we just don't always agree on things. And sometimes the difference in agreement is fighting about the agreement or just doing what's in the best interest of the county. And that's what I love about these two people serving with. And I couldn't echo better what you've said about working with the two of you.
Sometimes we fight.
We do. That's what I'm saying. We fight, but it's never like carried on to the next thing.
No.
We focus on what we might disagree with, and it's usually me fighting, but I'm somewhere in the fight. But they're being nice and they're like, yeah, it is him. He's annoying. But so there's that. But a couple of things I want to focus on in the budget because that's what we're talking about actually. And then I will close out because this is my last meeting as president of the board, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Crawley to be sworn in. When we talk about fiscal prudence, I do think we set a high standard, and I think that bond rating is but of an implication from a independent third party that says so. It's easy for us to sit here and pat ourselves on the back and say Franklin County is great. It's another thing when a third party is charged with doing that and they come out with an analysis that says you are managing your resources to a high standard. And let me be very clear. Their standard is not the end-all, be-all standard. Just because you have the gold seal of Moody's and Standard & Poor's does not make you perfect. But what it does is it analyzes the basic elements of finance that say whether or not you are of high standard. It's no different than if you had an 800-plus credit score. That suggests, doesn't mean you're perfect, but it suggests that you've managed your resources in the most prudent, upstanding way. That being said, we talked about how serious the commissioners take every step, every part of this job. And I mean that. I mean, you have no idea, when it comes to raising fees or taxes or even just making decisions and choices. We heard a presentation today from the folks who represent our shelter board strategy and community. And it's a substantial engagement of what they're asking for so that we get ahead of what is coming from a large and growing region. We've also met with the housing folks. You heard the Board of Elections discussion, the jail development and build out. There's so many competing resources with a limited resource. At the end of the day, it comes from you, the public. You pay your taxes, whether you're buying something in sales tax or your property tax or whatever, and that money comes from you. And so we're all in this together. Our job is as stewards of that fund. That being said, I do want to caution the administration for something. And again, I acknowledge you all do a great job. Zach, I wouldn't trade you for the world. You drive me nuts, but I wouldn't trade you for the world.
Yeah, he's good.
Administrator Wilson, I think that you are a thorough and thoughtful leader. I think you take your job as serious as anybody I've ever met. I've known you for a very long time. We essentially have grown up in politics together, and so I don't know a person who takes their job more seriously than you. That being said, and it goes for the administration that exists as well, but that being said, it is a red flag and an alarm when we have to take from our reserve funds. And so that should be a note to everybody how we're thinking about going forward. That is not, should be taken lightly. Should not, think about if you were taking from your own savings to pay your bills and continue as you are. That is an indication. You may have a lot of savings, and so it doesn't necessarily affect your rating, but it does say something about the systemic structure of where you exist today financially. And we've seen some agencies, we've had to, because with the runoff of TANF funds, ARPA funds, CARES Act dollars, et cetera, we've seen where the impact has an implication. And moreover, where we've been contacted by agencies that either have had to lay off workers or change programming, or agencies that are asking for more, like the shelter board folks today. Critical changes are happening right under our noses, and so when you take money from your reserve, if I were advising a client, I would say that that's something that while you are safe in your reserve funds as it meets the standard of a reserve fund, it is an implication that changes are happening. The second thing I would point out to the administration as a red flag or alarm, and again, when I say red flag, a lot of that, those are really harsh words, so I don't mean that way, but for lack of a better way to say it, the second thing I look at as indicators is the interest rate changes by the feds. 2 this year, perhaps a third coming, and certainly some for next year. Those are substantial implications of inflation happening in the market. And that's a domino effect of things from, just so the public understands, we have a large portfolio. That portfolio is mostly vested in, it is all vested in fixed income instruments or Fed funds, and that interest, so when those rates are cut, your interest that you're earning on your investments immediately drops down, and it is significant, when you have a big portfolio like the Franklin County. And so that's the second indication. The third indication that I'm mindful of and I want us to be thoughtful about is things you're seeing going on in the social service sector. Food. Matt Habash will say at the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, we've never seen a higher pull on resources in the history of his 50 or so years of being there. And that says something. The other thing is housing. Housing is an indicator at every level of what's happening in the market. And as the CSB folks today, the Community Shelter Board folks said to us today, rents are going up at a higher rate than our comparable subset of cities and regions. And so that means what we're looking at today, yeah, we may be taking $12 million from the reserve, but we really have to project out that same gap could exist for the next 3 years or the next 4 years. And while we've got the reserves that can handle that, and a lot of places don't, while we have the funds that can absorb that, we don't want to put this region under that kind of stress. And so I think a lot of thoughtfulness has to occur. And we've got some tough decisions as commissioners to make around what our priorities are. Like I said, homelessness, housing, early childhood education, poverty, racism in general, Board of Elections. I could just go on the list, on and on the list, and it's just, I see this and I feel, my heart feels heavy because I know how tough we'll take those decisions and the impact that they'll have. And so when I see the $12 million, like I say, it's not monopoly money. That's real money that comes from hardworking people like yourselves. And so we don't take that lightly. And it's not just moving this money over here and we're going about our business. I am asking, as we go forward, Administrator Wilson, I'm asking for a deep dive on our economic projections and forecasts so that we can begin to think about, we don't want to get, when it gets real tough, we don't want to have to start thinking about our employees who are forces here that make this whole thing work. And we don't want to be in that position, and so we have to stay ahead of that. And keep in mind, it should be noted, that doesn't even get at the debt service. Debt service for, say, the jail, which we are required to provide by law, that's money off the top. That's money, that's right off the top. Like our employees, like our forces are. And so, again, and then when you start dipping into those reserves, and especially in multiple years, consecutive years, it will be something for us to think about, and it will make those decisions harder. So I'm saying all that to say, I want to challenge the administration that we don't end up, I'm hoping that we're not in this position next year where we have to take from our reserves. We should be doing that now. That's what it's there for. We should be, and that's prudency. As Commissioner Crawley laid out, that's prudency to say we're not going to just go slashing and cutting, and then there's a domino effect of things. No. The prudent way would be to take some of our savings, of which we've been robust about our savings. We've always gone above the mark, and that's why it's there, to help sort of ease some of that pain. But we've got to really just, as we go forward, let's begin to think differently. I mean, we don't know. We've got a new administration coming in that has very dramatic policy positions than the previous administration, and that could have implications as well we were talking about HUD earlier today. That's almost certain. I mean, they've said it. And so, TANF, I mean, there are going to be a lot of things that are going to be under duress over the next 4 years, and it will have a direct implication on our budget. And so, I don't mean to sound like Debbie Downer, but at the same time, or Donald Downer, to be correct around here. I don't want any emails, any mean emails. But the point I'm saying is, again, I don't want to take away from the greatness of our administration, the leadership and skill that you guys deploy. Again, I've been at just about every level of government, and I put this group up against anybody's. You know, I mean, it is a sound group. All of you. It's in the most incredible way, I'm telling you. But at the same time, it's hard for me, you know, we're talking about added opportunity up there, service, progress, excellent opportunity. Well, we got to earn that. Opportunity, to me, is a word we got to earn. And this is a great community. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, but we got to live up to that first. And I just want to make sure that that we're able to provide that, because I get concerned that we just haven't been put in to see the full extent of what may be under duress for us over the next couple of years. And I don't think it's you know, we want to make sure that opportunity is for everybody. You know, that that we have that platform to provide. So I end on this for my comments. That it's been a pleasure, you know, serving as president. We rotate around every year, and so it's somewhat of a figurehead role. On the flip side of it, you do a lot more work as president. It's not totally figurehead. You get a lot more. You get a lot more things that you're required to be at and do, sign, whatever. That being said, this is. I was going to say the council, General Assembly, State Treasurer. This is the best job. This is not even close. It's not even close. This is the best job that exists in politics. I'm 100% sure of it. I'm 100% sure of it. And so I'm grateful for your leadership. I got very talented colleagues, very talented administration, and then the county employees are just amazing. I mean, ridiculously amazing. And so it's grateful to serve with you. And I look forward to your leadership. I look forward to handing the gavel, the proverbial gavel, over to you. And,
Thank you
look
for your
forward to
leadership.
service. Yeah, thank you. So, Ken, look like you want to say something back, but yeah, feel free. I mean, this is it. We got to pass this budget. Once it's passed, it's passed.
No, I'm taking it all in, sir. All the points made. This never gets old. I mean, I just remember the first few budgets. I was just thinking in 5-year chunks, and the work is very meaningful. And I agree. I mean, I take this job very seriously, because I believe that it's a blessing, and I have a lot of gratitude to be able to come here and do this, and have the deputy county administrators that I work with, and the entire Team Franklin County. I talk about hashtag Team Franklin County all the time, and I mean that every person that contributes in whatever role on our staff, I have a great deal of gratitude towards them. And they allow us all to do the job that we do each and every day. So I didn't want to say this out loud, because I didn't want to jinx anything. But pending you all passing this will be the 20th budget that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of as a member of Franklin County. So it is a really big deal.
No, two no's.
I should have waited till we got to the end and say, I had said it out loud. I almost wanted to put it in a recommended budget message, but I'm like, no, not doing that. So I'm going to shut up.
I was joking with Commissioner Carl. I said, Ken and I have known each other since we were staffers in the legislature way back in the day. He was in the Senate, I was in the House, and so we go way back. So many moons ago. You were there?
No, my wife was.
Yeah.
I've known Ken since, what,
Yeah, Pam, I've known her
1994?
forever, too. I've known Pam longer than I've known you, I think.
Yeah, 1994 I met Ken.
So, all right.
We were both much younger, man. All right, well, if there's no further comments or questions, speak now, forever hold your peace, people. I will move
10 years
approval of
over.
resolution 1017.
Second.
24, I'm sorry, 101724.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Resolution 1017-24 has been adopted.
All right. Are there any journalizations?
Yes, we have three. The first, a municipal annexation petition, ANX 2124, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on November 21st, 2024. The petition is requesting to annex 161.8 acres more or less from Washington Township to the city of Dublin. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on January 7th, 2025. The sites are Halshert Road, parcel IDs 271-000001 and 271-000009, and Plain City Dublin Road, parcel IDs 271-000006 and 271-000016. The second, the 2025 committee assignments for the Board of Commissioners regarding the Board of Revision have been updated to designate the following in their official capacity as designees for Commissioner John O'Grady: Deputy County Administrator Chris Long, Jamie Wellert, Dax Mendenhall, Annie Risnar, and Claire Bennett. The noted assignments will be filed with today's meeting minutes for the record and be distributed to our internal and external partners who may be impacted by these selections. The third, the Local Workforce Development Board subsequent certification application will be distributed to each member of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners for their signatures.
All right. All right, that concludes our meeting. This is our last meeting for the year, so happy holidays and be safe and have a great start to your new year.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Recording.